For those that might not have seen this game before, Levelhead is a 2D indie platformer game with a focus on user-generated content, and we're going to be playing through the campaign here today. And so what that entails is we'll be seeing 62 of the 93 levels, because that's all you need to reach the credits. And so I think we can just go ahead and hop into things. So time will start when I enter this first level here, and so I'll give a countdown before we get started. 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right, so the whole gist of Levelhead here is it's a 2D platformer where you play as GR18, this happy little robot here. And, you know, GR18's goal in life is to deliver packages. And what that entails is you gotta take this little happy little box and take it to the goal at the end of every single level. And, you know, it's like any good delivery person, the game incentivizes you to slam down the package as high as physically possible, you know, just like in real life. But the way the game does that is those little dots above the goal. Each one of those dots gives you 300 points, and each one of those dots also makes the animation at the end of the level here take longer. And so if you get a maximum dunk, which is 3,900 points, that takes about a second longer to finish the level versus getting a minimum dunk. And what that means for the speedrun is every time I can get a minimum dunk and it does not cost me time to get it, or it takes me less than a second, you will see me be going for that. So you'll be seeing me take quite a few interesting routes along the way to minimize that score bonus. And what you also might be noticing is this package here, it's just not for show. You don't just pick it up and take it to the end and that's all you do with it. It is also a key platforming tool. You can jump on it, you can throw it around, you can throw it in midair and then jump on it. So basically, having this package here gives us a very large toolkit to work with. And, you know, we can just throw it in the air and basically get a double jump. And what that is, we call that a super jump. You know, we got the super jump. We've got the ceiling super jump. We've got the wall super jump. There's even an infinite super jump, which requires a second box, so we're not really going to be doing that too much. But what that super jump will allow us to get to many, many places in these levels that are a little bit less than intended, or at least we get there in less than intended ways. And, you know, blink and you miss it. We've kind of already done like 3 or 4 super jumps so far. Several of the ceiling variety. But I will, you know, try and call those out whenever they're relevant. All right, and then I'm also trying to do a shell jump here, but unfortunately that wall did not want to cooperate, so I have to take the boring spring and get up here the boring way. But yes, those green dudes with mustaches, those are called scrubs, and, you know, kind of similar to Koopas in Mario, they drop a shell when you defeat them. And those shells are, they're used for platforming, they're used for many other things, but they allow you to do shell jumps as well, which, I mean, if you've seen any crazy 2D Mario Kaizos or Mario Maker or such, you know, shell jumping off a wall isn't too foreign of a concept. It is very similar to that kind of thing. But here in this next level, don't worry, in case you weren't paying close attention, this is a super jump right here. That is the most basic form of super jump, where you just throw it straight up and then land on top of it in midair. And hopefully every single time I do that from here on out, you will see it go exactly as well as that. Because it is not the hardest tech that is in this game, but it is far from the easiest either. Alright. And as you can see, there's also other boxes, and all of this is used to, you know, from time to time hold down switches. Oops. Didn't actually mean to drop that there. Okay. But this level, you know, like I said, super jumps let us just go wherever we want in the levels, like over the top of it, and just go straight to the end. Because it might not be obvious, but the camera in this game is about 50% of the time a suggestion, because you can just go over the top of the map, you can go off the sides of the map, you can technically even go off the bottom of the map. You just, you know, you have to be able to get back up in order to actually utilize that. But you'll see me go above the map and off the sides more than a few times in levels that do not explicitly block you off. And that's the kind of fun, fancy shenanigans that you'll see from time to time in order to get that minimum dunk whenever it's convenient. All right. And as we bounce over here and grab this box, you know, super jumps aren't doors are also very deadly if you're not careful. You know, if you've ever gotten caught in a door, it hurts quite a bit. But as I was saying before the door so rudely interrupted me, super jumps are not specifically just for the package. Any box lets you do them, as you saw right there. So anytime there's a box or a package or anything of that variety, we will be able to fly through the air with grace, assuming I don't, you know, mess up. Then the grace part kind of goes out the window. But, you know, as we continue through here, I should also mention, you'll notice that, like, as I run on a flat surface, I will just start running a little faster at a certain point in time. That's because the way this game handles sprint, there's no sprint button or anything like that. If you just continue running uninterrupted in one direction for about 7 or 8 tiles, you'll start sprinting. And, you know, as the name implies, you run faster when you have sprint. And in a speedrun, sprinting, you know, going faster is kind of important. But ironically, that is the less important part of sprint in this game, because the other important part of sprint is sprint lets you get an extra tile of jump height. And in that level right there, I didn't call it out, but there were several jumps in there that I would not have been able to make if I did not have sprint. And so anytime I get sprint, you know, going faster is nice, but the more important thing is it lets me do lots of platforming that would not otherwise be possible. But as we get to this level here, this level has the first of several power-ups you're going to be seeing throughout this run. This first power-up is the Tiptoe. It is your wall jump power-up. You know, most 2D platformers have some form of wall jumping. In this game, it is a power-up. As you get it, you can cling to walls, you can cling to the ceiling for a limited time only. And if you press the power-up button, you can also turn into a bush. You know, that might seem a little strange, but this is the stealth power-up, technically. And if you turn into a bush, it lets you just travel through enemies without taking damage. And while that is, you know, it's useful in the sense that you can just, like last minute you're about to get hit, you can just, like, dodge right through the enemy. But more importantly, it just lets you go through an enemy that is otherwise in your way. And there are levels, specifically one level later on, which will showcase that. But ideally, I can just, you know, not ever turn into a bush because it makes you go a little bit slower. So unless I have to, I will not be using it, which is unfortunate because bushes are pretty cool. You know, foliage, greenery. But this level right here gets to showcase, they don't block off the walls on this level. We don't need to do most of the level. We can just go off the side and then travel back up. I also didn't call it out earlier, but those fans that launch you into the air, you know, nothing in this game is called just the basic name that you would expect of things. They're not fans, they're sky wigglers. Those aren't fire bars, they're Bernie whirlers. You're not going to be seeing any conveyor belts, you're going to be seeing toe sliders. You know, this game just has a really good sense of humor with all that kind of stuff where it's like everything's got like weird, goofy names. You're not going to be seeing any of them because I'm going to be skipping all of them, but there's a lot of cutscenes in this game that introduce a lot of the different items and mechanics, and they do so in a very, very tongue-in-cheek way. You might even hear the narrator chastising me for skipping those cutscenes here and there. But the other thing on the map that's worth calling out is those things that pop up, those are called vendors, and their purpose in the campaign is to give you little icons for your profile and your levels, and that's like your reward for going through the campaign. But, you know, those aren't really important, so we're only opening the ones we are 100% required to open, and we'll be mashing through those as quickly as physically possible. Also, another key feature of shells, they can hold down switches, because there's a box up here to the right that we are supposed to grab, but we can just skip like half the level by just grabbing that shell and taking it with us. And now we can just go straight to this next section here. Oh, dang it. Okay. One little quirk with the tiptoe is that if you touch a wall and, you know, start wall grabbing, it instantly gets rid of your sprint. And so when I have the tiptoe, I will be doing everything in my power to make sure I do not touch walls unless I have to. Because losing sprint is not fast. Like I said, that is a vendor. Fun fact, I am playing this game on an Xbox Series X specifically. But if you play this game on PC, you can use both the keyboard and the mouse to open the vendors. And since you can only open one of those nodes at a time in the vendor, on PC, using the mouse, you can actually open two at a time, because you can open one with the keyboard and one with the mouse. So PC technically has a tiny advantage over console in that regard, but like it saves seconds over the course of the run, so it is relatively inconsequential. Alright, and this next level I need to focus just a tad bit. Hopefully I don't mess it up, but platforms in this game give you momentum, as you can probably guess. But there is a little quirk with that momentum that I'm going to be exploiting here to get even more momentum. Unfortunately, I went a little early on that one. There we go. Alright, so what I did there, you might have noticed that like the platform was going fast, I went faster, and then I jumped off a platform and I was like all of a sudden going Mach speed. That's because the way platforms work in this game, you know, you walk off the edge of a platform, and the platform, you know, you don't keep that momentum when you walk off the edge of the platform, but the game's forgiveness mechanics, it lets you jump after walking off the edge of a cliff. Basically, it gives you like more time than it probably has to, but it gives you a good amount of time to like get a jump even though you're already in midair. And as a result of that, you know, when you jump off of a platform, it's supposed to maintain that momentum from the platform. And the way the platforms work is, you know, you walk off the edge of a platform, it takes away that momentum. You jump off the edge of the platform, it gives you that momentum. And so if you coyote jump off the edge of the platform, it gives you that momentum back even though it just took it away. But if you drop through a platform, you keep your momentum, but you can still coyote jump. And so you can drop through the platform, maintain the platform's momentum, jump, the game gives you that momentum back, and then all of a sudden you have the platform's momentum twice. And so that was what I was doing in that level 2 levels ago at this point now. It's a very long explanation for a level that is not nearly as long as the explanation is. But it's a very cool piece of tech that was actually only found this year, about like 6 months ago. And considering this game has been out for several years, it's a surprise that that took as long as it did to get found. But that trick saves you about 4 seconds or so on that level I used it on. And so it is very useful. Also, you know, you might have noticed me just throwing that box down to get up to this area here. That's because when you throw objects down, it gives you an extra tile of height. And so in addition to, you know, being able to use that for platforming and such, you can also reach areas you're not entirely intended to if you're able to grab an item and ditch it. And so there's a lot of spots in this entire run where I'll be throwing objects down specifically because it gives me extra height. All right.
Do we have time for a donation?
Absolutely.
All right. Cheesy has donated $77 with the message, $27 for Celestas, $50 for my, quote, mistakes during the run.
This level is Cycles Incarnate. Thankfully, it got through with it relatively unscathed, and by that I mean entirely unscathed. But yeah, that level can be a nightmare if your cycles get slightly off, but thankfully, nothing went wrong. Alright.
You're making great. I hate meetings too.
Alright. I wanted to stay quiet as I skipped that cutscene so you could hear the little bit of banter the narrator gives you. He has like 5-6 different lines that he gives you when you skip cutscenes. And I always find them pretty funny. But as we move to this level here, we get the second power-up of the run. This is the zipper. What the zipper does is it lets you zip through walls. And as you can imagine, being able to go through any wall in front of you It's pretty powerful, as you can see. Just by using a super jump and the zipper, we're all of a sudden on top of the map. And we can just skip the entire second half of this level. So yeah, the zipper, like I said, very, very powerful. Because whenever they give you the zipper, if a wall is made of lead, which is that like black metallic looking block, or if there's 4 tiles of environment in front of you, you can't zip through it.
Never mind, I'll just
But
say
if
we need
either of those conditions are not met, you can go wherever you want. And that is very, very useful in several of these levels. Because, like I said, being able to go through walls is very powerful. And if not properly kept in check, you can absolutely just skip most of the levels that you're in. Alright, that's unfortunate. But they do not give you zipper nearly as often as they could have, so it is not as broken in the campaign as it could be. But that does not mean you will not be seeing some zipper cheese later on, because just like going outside of the map, because they didn't put walls up, if they don't put up the proper walls, you can just go off the side of the map and then just go straight to the goal, which will be happening later. Alright, this level is one of the several levels that are what I would call a run killer when I do PB attempts of this game. Alright, let's see if I mess up. I did in fact mess up, okay. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get sprint at that first part of the level, because by getting sprint, you can just barely make this platform cycle. You are not intended to ever get onto that platform, and only by getting sprint at the beginning there can you actually make it there. And so doing that makes it so you can just skip waiting for that other platform or doing a bunch of difficult tiptoe techniques to stay on the ceiling longer than intended. One of which is slow and the other is hard. So by skipping to that one platform, you can just get through that level significantly faster, and it's also significantly easier than the old fastest strat. Because like I said, using the tiptoe to stay on the ceiling, by basically chaining together ceiling super jumps using the tiptoe while you're still on the ceiling is probably as hard as it sounds. But thankfully, we don't have to do that anymore. Alright, this level, if you, like I said, that other level is Cycles Incarnate. This level is Cycles Incarnate, but worse. Because this time around, you just have to wait if the cycles don't line up. And if you were to try and make a cycle by skipping a checkpoint, I have lost many a run on this level by trying to go a little too fast, and then I have to redo like half the level. But thankfully that was not my best work, but that was more than good enough for me. And this level, fun fact, this is one of the only levels in the entire campaign where the IL for this level, the fastest time for it cannot go any faster. Because if you do the perfect IL strat for that level, you just hold right and you never let go. Problem is that it requires some very, very precise jump timing, and so it is significantly easier to just not do that. And like, you'll only lose like a second, but you make the level significantly more consistent. And here, you know, we've been talking about cycles. This is a speedrun. What's a speedrun without cycles and auto-scrollers? It's everyone's favorite. This run has a total of 2.5 auto-scrollers. Yes, 2.5. There are 2 full auto-scrollers, and there's one level in the campaign where about half of the level is an auto-scroll, and the other half the camera is not locked. So hopefully you can notice that, but if not, I will try and call it out when it comes up. But unfortunately, we cannot zipper cheese this level because we're stuck following the auto-scroller. And in true auto-scroller fashion, every death is extremely punishing. But a fun little thing with the zipper, you might have noticed that using the zipper, in addition to, you know, zipping you forward a few tiles, it also freezes everything for like a fraction of a second. And freezing everything for a fraction of a second, you know, when you're running in a straight line and you're spamming the zipper over and over again, it is faster to just spam it even with that little freeze, because zipper does go faster than, you know, your normal walking or running speed in those scenarios. But in an auto-scroller like that, it is very important to cut out as many zips as possible, because freezing the screen freezes the auto-scroller, so it technically loses you a little bit of time to do unnecessary zips on that level. Alright, and as you could see in that previous level, explosions in this game send you very, very far, very, very fast. And so whenever they give us a bomb or any other form of explosion, we will be just launching ourselves across the map whenever possible. The same goes for armor, in fact, because that red little plate thing that I picked up is a piece of armor. And in addition to allowing you to take an extra hit, it launches you in the opposite direction from where you're getting hit. So many, many of these items are very important for momentum in this game. Which is, honestly, that's part of the fun for it for me. It's like so many of the items are revolving around momentum, and that just gives you so many options just to move through everything very quickly based on what the levels give you. Alright. Alright, no, I want to get the damage boost here. I want to show it off. There we go. That level is very annoying if the cycles don't line up, but that ending is very satisfying when you get the damage boost there. Alright, this next level is very difficult because it is a brawler level. We gotta kill every single enemy in this arena as quickly as possible, and what that entails is lots of picking up objects and throwing them. And hoping the enemies line up in the right spots. So far, so good. Alright. Then we can just grab the package and make our way to the goal, because there was a key there. We were, in fact, supposed to grab that key, but we have zipper, so we don't need to grab that key. Unfortunately, there were 4 gates that required killing the enemies, so you could not zip through those. Also, in case you missed it, I did open the settings menu for a moment there. That was not a mistake. I did intentionally pause right there because that was a map warp. What a map warp is basically, you know, as I've been moving around node to node, level to level, you know, I've got my little spaceship, and it's just traveling across the dimensions, you know, getting to each little world that is a level. But that little spaceship has an animation in between each level, and, you know, that animation takes time. And if that animation decides to, you know, take too long, because there's too big of a distance between 2 levels, you can just open the settings menu, and when you close the settings menu, it will instantly put you on top of the level that you are moving towards. And so if moving to a level takes like a second or 2, and opening the settings takes like half a second, it is faster to open the settings, close out of it, and then just go straight to the next level. And so across the entire run, we do a couple map warps. It saves about 4 seconds or so in total if done properly. So it's not exactly like the most crazy, incredible strategy out there or anything, but it's very easy to do. And so it's basically just a free 4 seconds that you can get just from, you know, minimizing your time spent on the map. And there are actually a few other minor map-related tricks, but you will not be seeing any of them in any percent here today because they are not relevant. They're more suited for a category like 100% in this game, which is also a very good category. Definitely not biased by the fact that I run all of the categories. Definitely not biased at all. Alright, but this level here, this level has an interesting little strat here. And so if I kill this little dude, this dude's a pop jaw, and big enemies in this game, they drop items, like that pop jaw medallion, which allowed me to drop down, grab the package, and then teleport back up, because a pop jaw medallion teleports you to it after a few seconds after you throw it. And so by just dropping down, throwing it straight up, and then popping back up, you can just not have to climb back up afterwards. It's a nice little skip that, you know, I think it looks pretty cool because, you know, all of a sudden you're just moving back up. But this level here, after a little bit of a precise box throwing, this level contains the next power-up. This is the Waylay. The Waylay is quite a violent power-up because it makes you punch. And just like real life, punches make you go very, very fast. You know, everyone knows that you run faster while punching. And so that's what the Waylay embodies. So when you're on the ground and you punch with the waylay, you punch horizontally in front of you. And when you're in midair, you punch diagonally. Both can damage enemies. But if you're on the ground and you punch with sprint, you go very, very fast. And if, you know, it might have been a little hard to see because I was, you know, off the top of the screen, but that's what I did at the end of that previous level there, and I will be doing again in this level near the end. So I will call that out when we get there. But first I have to take out all of these teleporting pop jaws. Yes, okay. Those 2 pop jaws lined up nicely. All right, and in this arena here, you know, it's got a giant pop jaw, but the arena only keeps track of if the pop jaw is inside of it. It doesn't actually care if it's alive or not. So by the fact that you can just make it leave the arena by making it teleport to you and it counts as, you know, removing it from the arena, makes the end of that level much faster than if you were to try and actually kill it the way, you know, you're supposed to. And like I mentioned earlier, these are not conveyor belts, these are toe sliders. But yeah, we're just going to be flying all over the place whenever the game decides to give us Waylay, because it lets us go very, very fast. Waylay is the power-up that can actually allow you to reach the highest speeds in the game. And funny enough, dashing with the Waylay while on ground with sprint is not even the fastest movement the Waylay can give you, because a little quirk the Waylay has is if you dash into something that removes the Waylay, it makes you just go astronomically fast, which unfortunately does not pop up during the campaign. I would show it off if it did. But that, if you think you go fast with sprint and then dashing with the Waylay, you go even faster in some other setups. But this level here, you know, it's Battery Gauntlet. The game wants us to go around, you know, use all these different power-ups, collect those batteries. But, you know, that doesn't seem in the spirit of speedrunning, like actually going around collecting everything you're supposed to, completing a level as intended. Why would we do that when, you know, one of the power-ups it can give us is Zipper. You know, we can just go here, grab the Zipper, grab the package, and just go outside the map. Because like I said, if you don't block off the walls properly with Zipper, who needs to do levels as intended? Alright, this next level is infamous among the community. Hollow Mountain Hike. It is a level where you climb up, and if you fall down, you just gotta go back up. That is part of the reason why this level is so infamous, because if you're a newer speedrunner and you mess up, you know, falling back down the mountain is brutal, because you gotta climb up the mountain and then go back down to deposit these batteries and then climb up the mountain again afterwards. Alright, I meant to drop that down. There we go. Okay. But now that we have the batteries, you can go down, deposit them. And after depositing them, we can collect our package and climb back up the mountain. So like I said, this level is very infamous because if you are not careful and you make one wrong jump, you're all the way back down at the bottom. And as you can imagine, that is very slow. But thankfully, there's more than a few tricks to make sure that, you know, we can get through this at least somewhat faster. But it is a long level no matter how you slice it, because that ended up taking me a little over a minute. And the best time I've ever gotten is only 54 seconds or so that's not even that much slower. All right, this level here, you know, keep an eye on GR18, and you might notice, you know, all right, I'm not getting quite enough. I was hoping I would get it first try because that would go better with the commentary. But all right, this is a quirk of damage boosting off of a Bernie Whirler here. Because for some reason, damage boosting off of a Bernie Whirler specifically gives you significantly more height than it should. And if I do it, there we go. And if I do it correctly, we can just go up on top of this map and skip the entire level. Back in the day, this used to be one of the longest levels in the campaign. The IL for the any % run of this level used to be, I think, about like 51, 52 seconds. If you do this level as fast as possible with a like first try incredible skip, The IL for this level is now under 17 seconds, so this skip saves over 30 seconds.
Right. I hate meetings too. Hmm?
Now, granted, I didn't get it first try, so I didn't exactly save all of that time, but you could literally sit there attempting that trick for 20, 30 seconds and then still save time after it all over not doing the skip at all. And that's just how crazy that skip is. And it's not even like that hard of a skip in my opinion as far as tech in this game goes. Alright, but this level here, it introduces the Flingo. And so as you grab it, it launches you in the opposite direction because every object in this game is based around movement and momentum. But the way the Flingo works is as you grab it, it launches you in the opposite direction, but the further away you are from the Flingo when you grab it, the faster it launches you. And so if you're far away from the Flingo, it will launch you significantly more than if you were to grab it while like basically on top of it like that. And so there are many times where, you know, grabbing it from as far as possible is the best way to interact with a Flingo because it launches you further, and if you're grabbing it from below, it launches you higher. And another small quirk of the Flingo is if you were to grab a Flingo while you're standing on the ground, it will instantly give you sprint as well, which I did make use of in that first Flingo level, but, you know, if you didn't know to look for it, it would be a little hard to spot. Alright. This level here introduces the Flip Whip. The Flip Whip is deadly because it sticks out its tongue and tries to hit you with it. And, you know, GR18's a sanitary robot. It doesn't want to get hit by a tongue while it's out delivering packages. That doesn't seem like the best way to keep those packages clean. But thankfully, they are, you know, not too hard to deal with if you know their patterns. I should mention, there is almost no RNG in this entire game. I say almost because it's not technically no RNG because there are several enemies that have RNG patterns, specifically the Swoopadoop and the Popjaw. The Swoopadoop, you know, when it locks onto you and charges at you, it picks like a degree, like an angle that in like a 15-degree cone or something like that to target, and as opposed to like just directly locking onto you. And then the Popjaw, when it teleports, it pops up and like jumps a certain amount of height after it teleports, and that is also RNG. But outside of those two enemies, you will not be seeing any RNG in the campaign. There's another way to do RNG using rifts, because if you set multiple rifts to the same ID, it'll just pick a random one to send stuff to, but the campaign does not make use of that at any point. And so every time I've messed up so far, I cannot blame RNG, unfortunately. It is all me. But yeah, that last level was a fun little gimmick where you had to, you know, drop enemies into those little boxes at the bottom. And speaking of gimmick levels revolving around enemies, this is the Temple of Karma. And you know, GR18, he's been taking out a lot of these enemies throughout this journey so far. And you know, I think that Karma is going to catch up with him one of these days. And so if he kills a single enemy in this level here, the spikes will activate and the level will just try and instantly kill you. And so we have to make our way through this level the entire way without hurting a single enemy, even though the game is giving us many tools at our disposal to instantly kill these enemies. But thankfully, damaging enemies is fine, because we got to make this guy smaller in order to get him through that little gap. Yes, that power-up that I picked up that gave me that little electric aura, that is the Electro Shield, and what that does is it instantly kills any enemy you touch. So needless to say, it was not exactly a good thing on that level there. But this next level here has got a lot going on, and that first thing that it has going on is it has the next power-up. And it will let us fly through the air like a majestic robot, because this is the Ripcord. It is a jetpack and a helicopter all in one, because it lets us boost up into the air by holding the jump button, and then if you hold the power-up button, it lets you glide down. And so you have a limited amount of fuel when you're flying through the air, but the glide can be used infinitely. But right here, that was a pixel jump, because hazards in this game do not take up the full tile that they are on top of, and so if you very carefully maneuver yourself next to them, you can just land on the tile that those hazards are on top of, and we used it there to refuel our jetpack fuel. in order to keep flying straight up. All right, this level has the hardest trick in the run. Hopefully I can get it. If not, I will just have to keep moving. All right, I didn't get it. But I didn't hit the checkpoint yet, so I'll try again because I want to see if I can get it. Dang it. Okay. So what I was trying to do there is there's that little wall in the middle of the map, and if you just barely go under that wall, down under the camera to the bottom of the map, using the ripcord, you can just barely inch your way back up from sudden death down there and counteract gravity, because when you're off the bottom of the map, the game doesn't like that and will try to kill you very quickly because you have gravity working against you. But if you're just barely able to squeak under that wall in the middle there and then climb back up on the other side, that is the hardest skip in the campaign that we go for. It saves about 10 seconds, and I only get it about like 20% of the time. So it is, needless to say, it is very, very hype if you're able to get it, but you do not ever go into that level expecting to get that skip. But I have had multiple PBs that have only been PBs because of getting that skip in the run, because it saves the 10 seconds. So needless to say, I've got quite the history with it. But I have yet to get it in a marathon run, unfortunately. It'll happen one day, I swear. But this next level, Sting Like a Bee, I also have a history with this level, but for very different reasons. But this level, it is all about just going and, you know, dealing with these waves of enemies in this little battle arena. It's actually a pretty fun level overall, especially like if you're able to get the speedrun strats going and like kill everything as fast as possible. But the problem is it's very brutal if you die in that level because there is no checkpoints. And I have lost 30 seconds in a PB before to that level, and it was not fun at the time. But thankfully, I've since beaten that PB, so I no longer have that stain on my record. All right, and I mentioned earlier that bombs, you know, and all explosions send you flying. This is a type of rocket that, you know, it doesn't damage you. All it does is create explosions, and so it launches you through the air if you get caught in that explosion. And if you're able to use that and get momentum from them, it is very good. Right. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the right angle off that last rocket to launch straight into the goal, but that is okay. And now we have a brief respite, like, you know, a relatively tame level in the chaos that is about to come in these final 10 levels or so. Because this level is just about hitting switches that have timers on them. That's all it is. Nothing too crazy. However, it does have a very fun ending here, because you just run and grab the package before it gets blasted by you. Alright. And now for definitely my favorite run level in the entire run. Definitely love this level. Definitely not being sarcastic at all. This is another gimmicky kind of level where you have to trick the cannon. You know, trick the cannon into firing these explosive shots at the enemies. And by doing so, you know, you can move stuff around in the environment. You can kill enemies, so and so. But my problem with this level is specifically this room right here. Okay, thankfully the enemies cooperated, but if you kill those Lazumis while the flapjacks keep bouncing around, there is a very good chance those flapjacks will just never line up in a way that lets you hit them. And so you're just stuck sitting there waiting for them to line up for like 15 seconds sometimes. And it also has this room at the end that is a great visualization of, you know, posting your opinion online. Just a bunch of angry cannons pointing at you immediately. Alright, and this level here has in my opinion, the best level name in the entire campaign, Grand Theft Grotto. This level is oh, I didn't mean to pick up the bomb first. Okay. This level is a long ordeal of small challenges that no individual challenge in this level is too crazy or anything, but the fact that they're all together in a minute-long ordeal is what makes this level really stand out. This is, in my opinion, like legitimately one of the most fun levels to speedrun in the entire campaign. just because there's so much going on, and while it is a very, very difficult level to get a good time on because there's so much going on, there isn't one specific thing in this level that is like so difficult that makes it not fun to tackle. Because it's a minute-long challenge, and you get just to, you know, do as much stuff as you can to make it go faster. Although this room here with the flapjack is the one room I will say is very frustrating. Is the one part of the level I do not like. But the rest of the level is very fun. Alright, and as we drop down here, I will skip the ripcord, because I haven't actually mentioned it, but it, you know, you might have picked up on it, but every time you pick up a power-up in this game, there's that short little 1-second animation that plays. So if we can skip a power-up at any point in the run, even if it might make our lives a little bit easier, you know, it is always faster to skip those power-ups because of that 1-second animation. And so that was the reason I skipped the ripcord at the end there. But this level here has the final power-up that you'll be seeing in this run here today, the rebound. Because, you know, sometimes you have a face and you just want to, you know, shoot it. Because we shoot our face out of our face now. The rebound is our obligatory projectile power-up, but it doesn't do it in a way that you might expect. Because these projectiles that we shoot give us momentum in the opposite direction, hence, you know, the name rebound. And in addition to that, those little orbs that we shoot also bounce around, and we can bounce on top of them and use them as a little disposable platform. And so whenever we need to, we can just, you know, get a little extra boost off of them. But usually it is faster to use some other method to gain height outside of a couple specific instances. But the way the rebound works is you can fire 2 shots, and then you have to wait for it to recharge, and it'll have those little, like, sweat drops that appear over GR18's head when, you know, the power-up is recharged, and you can fire another 2 shots. But the way that timer works is that first shot is what starts the timer, not the second shot. And so you can fire that second shot at any point after the first shot until the shots recharge. And by timing that second shot, you can actually technically fire it right before the shots recharge and then technically get 3 shots. And so by utilizing that, you can basically just get 3 shots in a row, or you can fire 2 shots in a row and then just save that 3rd shot and then do it again with the next recharge and just chain them together as a way to just have your shots line up in a way that is more convenient than is, you know, initially used. And that was used a bit during that last level. It's used a lot more in this level, specifically during the 100% run of this level, but as the final auto-scroller of the run, and since we're just doing the any percent version of it, this level is relatively simple, thankfully, because this is a brutal level when you're trying to get all of the collectibles in that same time limit. But now we move on to the second to last level of the campaign here, or specifically the any percent run, because, you know, there's a whole 31 levels that you won't even see because this is any percent. But, you know, as you might expect, this is a troll level. And, you know, what other way would you, you know, make the penultimate level of your campaign than making it a troll level? I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. I mean, but, you know, since it's a troll level, I know where all the trolls are, so we can skip over a lot of them very safely. And a few of them with a bit of a risky maneuver, but overall, it's a very simple level to get through once you know what you're doing, and I think it's a pretty fun troll level as well. But we made our way through, and now we are moving on to the final level of the campaign. I will say time is, once I hit the goal on the final level here, I will call it out when that happens. It's still a little bit more than a minute out, though, because this is a long level, because it is the final hurrah for the campaign. It is going to be showing us everything we've seen so far throughout the campaign, all of the power-ups, a bunch of the items we've seen, and we're skipping one of those entire sections. You will not see the tiptoe in this speedrun of this level, because we just skipped the tiptoe section with a simple super jump by immediately going to the ripcord section instead. But, you know, we've got our epic music, we've got our cheese, we've got our speedrun strats, we've got all of the power-ups, even if we won't be seeing all of them. But yeah, all of the power-ups get their own unique section that plays to what they're known for. You know, the Waylay gets a section where you're killing a bunch of enemies. But we will be taking the shell with us, because like I said earlier, shell jumps are a thing. And we can use one right here. Right here. Just pretend I did that the first time and didn't mess it up though. But now we have the rebound. This part right here is a little weird. All right. And using the rebound. Rebound also gets a little combat section, but we can just preload our orbs and just fire them at the enemies before they even spawn. We can also use that little pop draw medallion to teleport ahead. And now that we have the zipper, we get to finish the final campaign level with some zipper cheese. Because we can skip all of these last power-ups here and just go straight to the goal at the end. And that's time. But there you have it. This has been Levelhead Any %. If you have any interest in checking out this game, I would highly recommend it. It's a very fun 2D platformer. Like I said, it has a big focus on user-generated content, so even if you're not interested in speedrunning this game, this is a great game to pick up casually because there is no end to the content that you can get from it. It is available on basically every platform, Xbox, PC, Switch, iOS, Android even. It's even part of the Steam Summer Sale right now for, I think, $4. So if you have any interest in picking this game up, I would recommend it. If you have any interest in speedrunning this game, we gather in the Butterscotch Shenanigans Discord. The Butterscotch Shenanigans are the developer for this game. You can find a link to that on the SRC page, or even at the bottom of the in-game ticker. Let's see if the ticker's not there. But normally when you're on the screen, there's a ticker, and it actually has a link to the Discord server there. But I would also just like to shout out the Levelhead community as a whole, because the Levelhead community, very cool. They always show up whenever somebody is playing this game anywhere, whether it be on Twitch, on YouTube. Just, you know, they are very enthusiastic about this game, and they like to make people welcome in the community and make sure that people know just how cool this game is. And so I would like to shout them out. And if you have any interest in, you know, seeing more of this game or even more of me, if that's your fancy, you can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/IllegallySam. But I think that is all that you are going to be seeing here of Levelhead tonight. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for having me here tonight as well.